Stop wasting time on calls that never close. If you can move fast, be honest, and use one tight script when someone is, quote, shopping, you'll win the easy, logical sales that most agents leave on the table. This is part 3 of a 3-part series. Links to all 3 videos are in the description below. In this video, you'll learn the exact rapid discovery and closing script for rate shoppers, so you get to the numbers in seconds and either win the easy switch or identify the real opportunity to add coverage. How to say the honest line that builds trust when you can't save them money, and the follow-up pivot that turns a price call into an ad on sale. The fast math close that turns a $40 to $50 monthly savings into an immediate yes. Word-for-word language. The high-value alternative offer, living benefit rider, you present when you can't beat their rate, so you keep the business without discounting. The concern tonality technique that breaks through I don't know avoidance leads and forces real answers without sounding pushy. The 3-option power recap and assumptive close specialized for cheap rate and avoidance scenarios that makes the middle option feel inevitable. Exact follow-up texts and calls for shoppers and avoiders, 3-touch cadence, that convert the stragglers without being annoying. So let's pick up where we left off with situation 7, looking for cheaper rates. Peter's script 6. This situation is completely different from everything we've covered so far. Ms. Carson has a policy. She's paying $80 per month, and she's calling because she wants to find something cheaper. This is not an emotional sale. This is not a pain sale. This is pure logic. It's an apples-to-apples comparison. Here's the massive mistake most agents make. They try to rebuild the entire value proposition from scratch. They ask all the discovery questions. They try to create urgency. They try to make her feel pain or fear. But Ms. Carson doesn't need any of that. She already bought life insurance. She already values it. She's already paying for it every month. She just wants to know one thing. Can you save her money? When someone's, quote, shopping, they want the numbers fast. They don't want a 30-minute discovery call. Think about it like this. If you went to buy a car and you already own a car, and you just want to see if you can get a better deal, do you want the salesman to spend 45 minutes asking you why you need a car and what would happen if you didn't have a car? No. You'd walk out. You already know why you need a car. You just want to know if this dealer can beat your current payment. Same principle applies here. Your discovery needs to be fast and direct. Kind of fill me in, Ms. Carson. You already have that policy for $80 per month. What motivated you to start looking around for some other life insurance now? She's going to say something like, I just want to see if I can get the same coverage for less. Perfect. Now you can ask 1 or 2 follow-up questions just to understand her situation better. And why is that so important for you to find some cheaper life insurance? She might say, I'm on a fixed budget. Every dollar matters to me. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Good. Now you understand the stakes. One more question. When you first got that policy in place, what did you want to make sure gets taken care of? She's going to tell you the original goal. I want to cover my burial expenses and leave something for my kids. Now you know what the policy is supposed to do for her. And here's where honesty separates you from every other agent who's called her. Most agents will try to sell her something even if they can't actually save her money. That's a mistake. That destroys trust and wastes everyone's time. Here's what you say instead. Can I be completely honest with you, Ms. Carson? You're currently in the most affordable plan since you got that policy many years ago. So truthfully, I'd hold on to that policy. But I am a little curious. With inflation and rising costs, were you maybe looking to add on to what you currently have? Now watch what happens. If she says no, you let her go. There's no value proposition here. You can't help her. Don't waste your time or hers trying to force a sale that doesn't make sense. But if she says yes, now you're in a completely different situation. She doesn't actually need cheaper coverage. She needs more coverage. And now you're back to either situation 2 or situation 6, depending on whether she's motivated by covering expenses or leaving a gift. If you can actually save her money, this is the easiest close in the world. It's pure logic. So, Ms. Carson, you have a $10,000 policy and you're paying $100 per month. I can get you that same $10,000 policy for $58 per month. That saves you $42 every month. Do you want to make the switch? She's going to say yes. Because it's math. It's not emotional. It's just a better deal. Now, what if you can't save her money, but you can offer more value for the same price? That's when you pivot. I can't get you cheaper, but what I can do is get you the same coverage with a living benefit rider that pays out if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness. That gives you access to your money while you're still alive if you need it. Same price you're paying now, but more value. That's still a logical value exchange. You're not creating fear or urgency. You're just offering a better product for the same cost. The key with this situation is speed and honesty. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to turn it into something it's not. If you can help her, great. If you can't, let her know and move on. If you're finding this video helpful, please like the video by giving it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will get notified whenever we upload new training videos like this. And don't forget to hit that share button to pass this valuable information along to other agents who can benefit from it. Situation 8, the I don't know, avoidance lead, implied. This last situation is the trickiest because you're not dealing with a specific value proposition. You're dealing with someone who's actively avoiding the problem. You ask them a direct question and they say, I don't know. They're not engaged. They're not opening up. They're giving you nothing to work with. They're trying to end the call as fast as possible without being rude. This happens all the time with aged leads because they've been thinking about this problem for months or even years and they still haven't taken action. That avoidance is a defense mechanism. They don't want to face the reality of what happens if they don't get coverage in place. Your job is to use concerned tonality to break through that avoidance and make them experience the pain or the feeling they're trying not to think about. Let's say you're working through situation 1. Ms. Carson has no coverage. She's trying to cover her burial expenses. You ask the crucial question, God forbid if you passed away tomorrow, who would be responsible for paying for your burial expenses? And she says, I don't know. That's avoidance. She doesn't want to think about it. She doesn't want to picture her daughter dealing with that burden. So she shuts down. Here's how you handle it. You use concerned tonality, and you force her to visualize the consequence she's avoiding. Oh my gosh, you're not really sure. Well, Ms. Carson, if you really thought about it and you passed away tomorrow, what would your daughter actually have to do? You're not letting her off the hook. You're making her think about the problem. And you're doing it with genuine concern in your voice, not aggression. She might still resist. Well, I guess she'd have to figure it out. And I didn't... That's still avoidance, so you go deeper. And would she be in a position where she could come out of pocket for $10,000 to $15,000? Now she has to give you a real answer. Probably not. Good. Now you've broken through the first layer. Keep going. So, what would that look like? What would she actually have to do to come up with that money? And now she's experiencing the pain she was trying to avoid. She'd have to start a GoFundMe. She'd have to ask family for money. She'd probably have to go into debt. It would be terrible. Perfect. Now you've successfully pushed her into the pain-driven script. She's no longer avoiding. She's engaged. She's thinking about the consequences. And now you can continue with your normal discovery process. The same technique works for feel-good situations. If you're asking about leaving a gift and she's avoiding the emotional questions, you use that same concerned tonality to help her access those feelings. How would it make you feel to leave that extra gift behind? I don't know. Well, if you really thought about it, what do you think it would mean to your daughter to receive that gift from you? You're helping her visualize the positive outcome she's been avoiding thinking about. The key with avoidance leads is persistence without being pushy. You're not attacking them. You're not making them feel bad. You're just gently but firmly helping them see what they're trying not to see. Sometimes you'll ask the question 3 or 4 different ways before they finally open up. That's normal. Don't give up after the first, "I don't know." That's exactly when most agents quit, and that's why they're not closing aged leads. One more thing about avoidance leads. They often turn into your best sales once they finally engage. Because once they stop avoiding the problem and they actually face it, they realize how urgent it is. They've been putting this off for months or years. Once they commit to solving it, they move fast. So when you encounter that "I don't know" response, don't see it as a dead end. See it as an opportunity to help someone break through their own resistance and finally take action on something they've been avoiding for way too long. If you're ready to put these strategies into action, reach out to us at Stellar Prospects for high-quality, low-priced aged insurance leads that work perfectly with what you're learning in this video. Plus, if you want an English-speaking telemarketer from the Philippines to confirm prospects' interest and transfer qualified calls directly to you for just $5 an hour, we can help you set that up too. Check out our contact info in the description below to get started. Section 4. Mastering the close and follow-up system. Now that you understand how to diagnose the situation and adapt your discovery, let's talk about how to actually close these deals and what to do when they don't buy on the first call. The 3-option pitch is the foundation of every close, regardless of which situation you're dealing with. But here's what most agents miss. The way you present those options has to match the value proposition you uncovered in discovery. Here's how the structure works. You present 3 options: a starter program, a most common program, and a max option. The starter program is your low option. It solves the basic problem, but doesn't go beyond that. For someone trying to cover burial expenses, this might be $10,000 or $15,000. Just enough to handle the funeral, nothing extra. The most common program is your middle option. This is the one you want them to pick. It solves the problem completely and adds a buffer. For burial expenses, this might be $20,000 or $25,000. Covers the funeral, adjusts for inflation, maybe leaves a little something extra for the family. The max option is your decoy. It's more than they need, and it's noticeably more expensive. You're actually discouraging them from picking this one. Think of it like popcorn at the movies. Nobody wants the small because it's too small. Nobody wants the large because it's too expensive and it's more than they can finish. So they pick the medium. That's exactly the psychology you're leveraging here. But here's the critical part that separates closers from order takers: the power recap. You can't just list the options and the prices. That's what every other agent does, and that's why they're not closing deals. You have to weave in everything the client told you during discovery. You have to use their own words to justify the price of each option. Let me show you what this sounds like for a pain-driven situation like Ms. Carson with no coverage trying to cover her burial expenses. So Ms. Carson, the first option for you here is the $15,000 option. This is our starter program for those who are on a fixed income and those who just want to make sure they have something in place to cover their basic burial expenses. Now with this option, it will be everything that you need just to cover your basic burial expenses, so that your niece Angela is not stuck paying for your burial expenses. You told me earlier that if you don't get this in place, your niece Angela is going to have to knock on doors. You told me that she's going to have to start a GoFundMe. You told me she's got 4 kids to feed and she can barely put food on the table. This option will make sure you can go to bed at night, knowing that if something were to happen to you, God forbid, that Angela and your family is taken care of. Now, this is how they make it affordable for everyone on a fixed income. If we can even get you approved, that option will be $61 per month. You see what happened there? I explained what the option is, what it's going to do for her, what pain it's going to help her avoid using her own words, and then I gave the price. The price doesn't sound expensive anymore because she's already visualized the alternative. The alternative is her niece knocking on doors and starting a GoFundMe and struggling to feed her own kids. $61 per month sounds like nothing compared to that burden. You do the same thing for the second option. Now, the most common option here, Ms. Carson, is the $25,000 option. This is what most of our clients choose because it covers everything now and into the future, adjusting for inflation. This will make sure that all your burial expenses are completely covered, no matter what costs look like in 10 or 20 years. It will also leave a little extra behind for Angela, so she's not scrambling to cover any unexpected costs. You told me how important it is that she never has to raise money or go into debt because of your funeral. This option guarantees that never happens. If we can get you approved, that option is $104 per month. And then the third option, where you're subtly discouraging them. Now, the max option here is the $50,000 option. I don't know if I'd even recommend this for you, but if you were looking to cover all your burial expenses and leave a substantial gift behind to Angela and your 4 grandkids, this would do it. This is probably more than you need right now, but if we can get you qualified, that would be $150 per month. After you present all 3 options, you use the assumptive close. This is not pushy. This is just guiding them to the logical decision based on everything they told you. Based on everything you've shared with me today, the $25,000 option solves the problem you're worried about and makes sure Angela is completely taken care of without any financial burden. Should we get you started with that one? Most of the time, they say yes, because you've done the work in discovery. You've made them experience the pain. You've used their own words to justify the solution. The close is just the natural conclusion of that process. But what if they don't say yes? What if they say, I need to think about it, or I want to shop around more? This is where most agents lose the deal. They hear objection, and they either get pushy or they give up. Both approaches are wrong. Here's the reality. Aged leads are more skeptical than fresh leads. They've been thinking about this for months or years. They've probably talked to other agents. They've done research. One call isn't always enough to get them over the finish line. But that doesn't mean the deal is dead. It just means you need a follow-up system. The 3-touch follow-up sequence is what converts the stragglers. Touch 1 happens the same day, within a few hours of your call. You send a simple text message. Hey, Ms. Carson, it was great talking with you today. Just wanted to make sure you didn't have any other questions about the $25,000 option we discussed. Let me know if anything comes up. This keeps you top of mind without being pushy. You're not asking for the sale. You're just staying present. Touch 2 happens 3 days later. This is the new information call. You're not calling to pressure her. You're calling because you learned something or thought of something that's relevant to her specific situation. Hey, Ms. Carson, I was thinking about our conversation the other day about making sure Angela never has to deal with your funeral costs. I wanted to let you know that we just had a rate adjustment, and I might be able to get you that same $25,000 coverage for a few dollars less per month. Do you have a minute to talk? Or if there's no rate change, you pivot to new value. I was reviewing your situation, and I realized I didn't mention that this policy also includes a living benefit rider. That means if you're ever diagnosed with a terminal illness, you can access part of the money while you're still alive. I thought that might be important to you given what you told me about wanting to make sure Angela's taken care of. Touch 3 happens 7 days after your original call. This is the last chance framework. You're creating urgency without desperation. Hey, Ms. Carson, I noticed we haven't connected yet, and I wanted to reach out one last time. After this, I don't want to keep bothering you, but I did want to make sure you had everything you needed to make a decision. If I don't hear back, I'll assume you went in a different direction. No hard feelings. This creates urgency without being desperate. You're giving her permission to say no, which paradoxically makes her more likely to engage. People don't like feeling pressured, but they also don't like feeling like they're being abandoned. Now here's the critical piece most agents miss. When you do connect with them on one of these follow-ups, you need to get a commitment. Not necessarily a sale right then, but a commitment to a specific next step with a deadline. Ms. Carson, I totally understand you need some time to think about this. Can I ask, what specifically do you need to think about? Is it the price, or is it something else? Get the real objection, then address it directly. Okay, so it sounds like you just need to make sure this fits in your budget. I get that. How about this? Why don't you take the next 2 days to look at your budget and see where this would fit? And I'll call you back Thursday at 2 p.m. to see what you decided. Does that work for you? Now you have a commitment. Thursday at 2 p.m. She agreed to it. When you call back, you're not bothering her. You're following up on an agreement you both made. One last thing about follow-up. Know when to let a lead go. If you've done 3 touches and she's still not engaging, she's either not ready or she's not a fit. Move on. Your time is valuable. The ROI calculation is simple. If you're spending more time chasing one aged lead than it would take to work through 3 new leads, you're losing money. The follow-up system works, but only if you're strategic about where you invest your time. Conclusion. Here's what you need to remember. The agent who adapts wins. Stop selling one script to every lead. Start diagnosing the situation and adapting your approach based on whether they're motivated by pain or feel good, whether they have coverage or not, and what their real goal is. The framework is simple. Pain versus feel good. Discovery, tonality, and pitch. 8 situations that cover almost every aged lead you'll ever talk to. No coverage and burial expenses. No coverage and leaving a gift. Has coverage and needs more. Has coverage with a waiting period. Has a term policy that's expiring. Looking for cheaper rates. Has coverage and wants to leave extra. And the avoidance lead who says, I don't know, to everything. Master these 8 situations, and you'll quadruple your conversion rate on aged leads. I've seen it happen with my own team. Agents who are struggling to close 1 or 2 deals a month are now consistently closing 15, 20, 25 deals because they stopped treating every lead the same way. The agents making the most money in this business aren't the ones with the best leads. They're the ones who know how to work the leads everyone else ignores. They're the ones who can take an aged insurance lead and turn it into a sale in one call because they know how to diagnose and adapt. And with this in mind, if you want to learn how another agent, Omar, a 19-year-old insurance agent, was able to get his earnings up to $100,000 a month, you will want to watch this video next, where we break down his exact playbook and show you how to apply it to your business. You'll learn. 1. The 10-second rule. Stop asking if they remember filling out the form. Omar's script is designed to earn attention and build authority in the first 10 seconds by using a firm, authoritative opening that assumes the sale is already happening. Learn the exact language to use to bypass low trust resistance. 2. The AAA objection killer. The most common objection is, can you just send me something in the mail? Most agents panic. Omar uses the agree, ask, and attack AAA framework to acknowledge the client while immediately stating a condition that requires them to move forward now. This eliminates the maybe and creates instant urgency. 3. The ice cream close. Omar doesn't argue about price. He uses a psychological pricing technique to get clients to pick the most expensive option. By intentionally positioning the prices of the bronze, silver, and gold options, he makes the high-tier coverage seem like an unmissable value proposition. You will also learn the high-leverage move he uses to upsell the client after the policy is already approved, and how he sells a policy to the spouse as well, 50% of the time after the other spouse is approved. So to learn exactly how Omar Elsayed does this to earn $100,000 in a month's worth of production, click the video appearing on the screen right now to watch this video, and I'll see you there. It's the video that you should see somewhere on your screen, so click on it now and I will see you in a moment.